It may seem impossible right now, but if the Atlanta Braves offense can get things together, there is still a path for this team to get to the postseason. I'm going to tell you how in today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and leave me a comment down below. And if you listen on the audio version, you can help out too. Leave me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you so much for your support here at Locked On Braves. We're almost to 14,000 subscribers on YouTube, and appreciate all of you on the audio side as well. We still get more listens over there than we do on YouTube. So thank you so much for all the support and being everydayer here at Locked On Braves. Today's episode, I'm going to give you the top 5 things for me that have to happen in order for this Braves team to make the postseason. I don't think all 5 of these things have to happen. I think there's one real key thing that needs to happen in order for this Braves team to make the postseason. We're also going to take a look around the league where, Braves are probably going to need some help, and they're going to need some players at the top of leaderboards where they're not right now. And then we'll set you up for the Rockies coming to town, a series that pretty much needs to be a sweep for the Atlanta Braves in order to complete the plan that I have put in place for this Braves team to make the postseason. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So yes, the Atlanta Braves, they are 29-38. They are 9 games back of a wild card spot. Yes, 9 games back of just a wild card spot. They are 14.5 games back of the NL East. That feels completely done at this point, especially with the way the Mets are playing. They don't even have enough games on the schedule to come back and beat the Mets right now, at least head-to-head matchups. 5 of the teams ahead of them in the wild card race, not counting the team that they would have to jump. So essentially, there are 6 teams ahead of them in the wild card that they would need to jump in order to get into a postseason spot. So a lot of work to do. And you look at it right now, the Padres, Phillies, and Giants, the 3 teams in those wild card spots at the moment, they're on pace to win anywhere between 91 to 92 wins. So we've been saying this for a while. I know I've said it on here a lot. It feels like that 90 win mark is going to be that magic number to get into the postseason this year. It's a very good National League, a lot of good teams. Those teams are going to have to play each other, and somebody has to lose. There are going to be some teams that fall off, and hopefully in the Braves case, there's going to be some teams that really pick it up in the second half. But I still think shooting for 90 wins is probably going to be what it takes in order for the Braves to get into the postseason this year. There are 95 games left on the calendar for the Atlanta Braves this season, so they need 61 more wins in order to reach 90 wins this season. That means they would need a record of 61-34 the rest of the way. And yeah, that seems impossible with the way that this Braves team has played, not just this year, but last year too. I know last year you had the excuse of the injuries that you don't have this year, but going 61-34 the rest of the way seems pretty daunting, and it is. And that's why I keep saying, can't let these see. You can't let a series against the Pirates get away. You can't let a series against the Nationals get away when you put yourself in such a hole. And the Braves have done that, and then they dug themselves an even deeper hole with this current 7-game losing streak. Not current, but recent 7-game losing streak that they had. And now you're having to go 61-34 the rest of the way. But it's not impossible. But it is going to take a couple of big streaks and no more long losing streaks. You cannot have any more losing streaks of really more than 3 games. You have got to have some big winning streaks. You've got to have a 10-2 stretch. And that's what I've been talking about with this stretch that the Braves have coming up, starting in Milwaukee, where you had to win the series against the Rockies or against the Brewers, sweep the Rockies, win the series against the Mets, and sweep the Marlins. You got a chance to go 10-2 in this stretch. They took care of part 1 by beating the Brewers. So let's say they get this done. And let's say that they do go 10-2 over this stretch. Everything kind of plays out the way that I just said. At that point, you'd be 37-39, which means you would need to go 53-33 the rest of the way. Still seems pretty daunting, but a little bit more doable. 20 games over 500 the rest of the way. Then let's say they go 3-4 against the Mets and the Phillies to end out the month. You got 4 in New York and then 3 at home against the Phillies. And so let's just say conservatively they go 3-4. They really need to go 4-3 in that stretch, but let's just say they go 3-4. That puts them at a 40-43 record going into the month of July. Now, just before the All-Star break, there is a pretty favorable part of the schedule. You get the Angels, the Orioles, the A's, and the Cardinals. Now, the Angels are sitting around 500. The Orioles have been a huge disappointment. The A's, they've been somewhat of a disappointment as well. I know there were some expectations for them. And the Cardinals are actually playing pretty well at the moment. But let's say you go 8-4 over that stretch. Again, probably need to go 7-3, but let's just say they go 8-4. Then you're going into the All-Star break with a 48-47 record with 67 games left to play. So at that point, they would need to go 42-25 after the All-Star break to reach 90 wins, which again still seems like a lot, and it is, but it does make things a little bit more easier, and you can see it at that point. So that's really the goal, and it doesn't really matter how you do it. You know, I'm kind of lining out some of these series wins that they need to get. Doesn't really matter how it happens, but I think the goal for this Braves team right now should be get to 500, within a game of 500, a game over 500, somewhere around there. Like I said, either one game under at 500, one game over. I guess you'd have to be one or the other, but that's what I think your goal needs to be by the All-Star break to give yourself a chance in the second half. They have 39 games left after the All-Star break against teams that are either around 500 or teams that are under 500. So it's a pretty favorable schedule in the second half of the season. We talked about that early in the year. We knew the first half of this schedule could be kind of rough, not this rough. We thought maybe they, be maybe 5 games over 500 or something like that. But we knew the beginning part of the season would be much tougher than the second half. So the schedule does lighten up in the second half of the season for the Atlanta Braves. Now, that is just win-loss wise what needs to happen. But let's talk about what actually needs to happen on the field in order for them to accomplish this. Like I said, it is a tall task. It's not an impossible one, but it is a tall task for them to get back to the postseason, to reach 90 wins because of the hole they put themselves in. But how does that happen actually on the field? And number one for me, I'm going to give you my top 5, and I'm going to get to some of yours as well. Number one for me is the offense has to break out. And, that's no secret. And particularly with the home runs. Right now, they're just 12th in all of baseball in home runs. Even last year, they were still a top 5 team in home runs. They just weren't getting on base. So they were a bunch of solo home runs. But this year, they're 12th in home runs. They need to be at least be a top 5 team the rest of the way in home runs. They need to be hitting 2 home runs a game. I know that sounds crazy and ridiculous, but that's what this offense was built to do. They have to get the long ball. It is the way they're going to score. Again, I've harped on it so much. I wish they could score in a variety of ways, but bottom line is this offense was built to hit home runs, and they need to start doing that better. Whatever approach Tim Hires has tried, I appreciate the effort, being more patient, the patient approach. I wish they could do that, but that's not what this lineup was built to do. That's not what these players were built to do. Get back to just cranking out home runs, because that's when we saw this offense at its best. And again, we can look at it in the offseason of switching things up and maybe getting more hitters that are well-rounded. I think that needs to be the path forward. But for right now, if this team is going to get it together, you got to get back to just hitting a bunch of home runs because that's what this offense was made to do. But the biggest key to this team, turning things around, it has to be the offense. They have to get it together, and they have to start hitting the home runs. The second thing for me is the back end of the bullpen has to be settled. Now, you get those home runs. Hopefully, you're not playing in as many close games, but you've got to have the back end of the bullpen settled. I'm a big believer that having defined roles in the bullpen goes a long way. Right now, there are no defined roles. We don't really know who the closer is. We don't know who's coming in the 7th and 8th inning of a tight game. Unless Schwellenbach and Sale are just going to throw complete games every time out, you're going to need some guys in the 7th, 8th, 9th innings to bridge the gap to hopefully get you some wins. And they have got to figure out what that's going to look like and who you can trust in those roles. And biggest thing for that is obviously Iglesias. I think he's got to get back to throwing that slider. It's just not as effective against righties without that slider. And you can just look down and in for the sinker or the changeup. We saw with Eugenio Suarez in that blown save that he had against the Diamondbacks. He's got to have that pitch, but it's got to be good. But if Iggy can get back to being Iggy, Dylan Lee is good. Pierce Johnson's okay. You got the makings there. Hopefully Daysville comes back. Command issues get under control. You're going to have to make some moves at some point to help out this bullpen. But that is my second biggest key, is the back end of the bullpen has to be settled. Number 3 for me is Ozzie and Michael Harris have to give you more. Again, understatement of the year, I know. But if you look at the overall numbers for Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna, both catchers, and Acuna since he came back, they're solid numbers to great numbers. In the case of Acuna and the catchers, great numbers. Certainly you would love more out of Olson and Riley and even Ozuna to a degree. But you look at their overall numbers, they're not bad numbers. But you can't have your 5 and 6 hitters in the lineup on most night, or 6 and 7 hitters with a 600 OPS, and guys that you're really depending on, guys that are supposed to make the difference in your lineup, that it's not just the top of the order, it's the middle, it's the depth of your lineup. And right now, those guys are just automatic outs with pretty bad at-bats. I know Ozzie went through a really good stretch. Now it seems like maybe he's cooling off again a little bit. I talk about all the time, the hot and cold streaks with Ozzie. You got to ride them. But we need some more consistency. We need some better at-bats. Those guys have to be more 750 to 800 OPS guys the rest of the way. Number 4 for me is hitting in clutch spots. And look, if you get the home runs, if 0.1 works, that's why I say not all of these have to happen in order for the Braves to get on track. Because if you hit all these home runs, you don't really have to worry about runners in scoring position. But the Braves have the 19th most at-bats with runners in scoring position. So not only are they not coming through, they're 17th in average with runners in scoring position. They're 22nd in OPS with runners in scoring position. So not only are they not coming through in those situations, they're not getting in those situations enough with just 19th most at-bats with runners in scoring position. And the killer in this is that they have the 6th most strikeouts with runners in scoring position. They have got to do a better job of putting the ball in play with runners in scoring position and trying to force the issue to make something happen. And then the final one for me is confidence. I'm a big believer, especially in baseball, that confidence means a lot. Baseball is a very hard game to play. It is a very humbling game to play. You can be at the height of the game one moment and you could be at the bottom the next. We've seen it many times throughout the history of this game. You have got to be going up to the plate believing that good things are going to happen. You've got to have confidence going up to the plate. I just don't see that enough right now in this Braves team. When you had all the struggles that you had last year, I hate to say all the losses. They won 89 games last year, but again, it wasn't quite to what they expected. And look, we lived it. They lived it. They know. You heard their comments after the year. It wasn't the year that they wanted, but they have such high expectations for themselves. They're not meeting those expectations. I think they're losing confidence because of this. This is not a confident bunch anymore, and they've got to get that back. They've got to find a way to get that back to where these close games are going to go your way. You believe that you're going to come back and win these games. We saw that so much early on in Snitker's tenure. This team was never out of it. They always battled back. They came back and won. You always believed that they could win. I don't see that as much anymore with this team, and they have got to get that back if they are going to turn things around, not just for this year, but in the years to come, because I don't think this window is going to close shut. I do think the Braves are going to try to restock, repile, whatever for next year and win again. This is not like if they don't make the postseason this year, I think this team's just going to completely blow it up and rebuild. I think there'll be some big changes, sure, but I think there'll still be a team that wants to win in 2026. So even if it doesn't happen this year, just getting that confidence back for these team and this players, I think is huge for them going forward. So those are my 5 keys. Again, not all of these have to happen, and some of them go together. You get the confidence, the home runs come. You get the confidence, the hitters hitting with runners in scoring position comes. So I think all of it kind of plays in, but I think these are the biggest keys for me. If this team's going to make the postseason, those 5 things need to happen for the Atlanta Braves. Again, let me know some of your thoughts in the comment section below. I did ask a lot of you on social media, and you gave me some great responses, some of them similar to the ones that I came up with. We'll get into those here next. The NBA Finals are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. I guess it's not every night. NBA Finals is like one game and then like a week off and then another game, something like that. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You can look at it and track their trends to make a wise investment, or you can combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds. Right now, the Pacers have won the first 2 games of the series, and that was a bit of a surprise. Oklahoma City was the big favorite going into it. Maybe you're believing in what I'm selling here tonight, and you think the Braves are going to come back and make the postseason, win the World Series. You can go see their odds, which have plummeted over there at FanDuel.com. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Make sure you go check out the guys over at Locked On MLB for your second listen. You got Sully on there every day. You got the MLB Game Night feed in there, too, that gets you caught up on the biggest highlights happening around Major League Baseball. Braves don't play tonight. You want to know what else is happening in Major League Baseball? Check out Lindsay over there for the MLB Game Night show that I'm sure he'll be doing late on Thursday night. All right, I asked you what were some of the keys for you for the Atlanta Braves to reach the postseason this year. We obviously got some smart aleck ones. We got some funny ones in here. I'll read some of those, but also some very serious ones like the ones that I tried to put together, which I think are somewhat serious. Watching Braves, this will be a funny one, says playoff expansion. So basically everybody gets in. Yes, that'll be the easiest way for it to happen. Another one from Joku, who says better bullpen and the offense to score 4+ runs per game. I think that's spot on. Emmanuel had a lot of the ones that really I thought of. Acuna starting to run. That's one I didn't mention, but staying healthy. Obviously, health is the big key. And all this, Braves cannot lose any major players the rest of the way. But Acuna starting to run, I think, will help this offense take off if that happens. We talked a lot about that on yesterday's episode. You want to go back and give that a listen. Emmanuel also said Money Mike's second half hot streak starts earlier than usual. The offense start consistently hitting with runners in scoring position. Profar comes back looking like 2024. That's one I didn't mention, but if Profar comes back, we've been talking about needing that bat in the 2-hole. You know, if he comes back and he's that guy that can hit for average, get on base, he becomes a really solid number 2 bat in the order. We just don't know what that's going to look like. Obviously, he hasn't played a lot this year. He will be able to start a rehab assignment soon to get back up to speed. But that could be a big boost for this Atlanta Braves team in early July. July Riley appears and stays with us. Ozzy's power comes back. So some good ones there from Emmanuel. Snickers white flag. Profar being his 2024 version. Consistent production from Harris, Albies, Murphy, Ozuna. Better clutch at bats. Iggy returning to form. Back in bullpen arms. At least one for high leverage. Upgraded shortstop offensively. And starting pitching continues to produce quality starts. I think those are all good points as well. Drunk Blooper says it's all on the offense. This is how the team was constructed, offensive first. Bullpen flaws are being exposed because the leads have been razor thin every night. Starting pitching has been fantastic. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Yes, this team was built around offense, and that has not shown up yet. And if this team's going to turn things around, it has to be that offense. That's why it was number 1 for me. You're right about the bullpen flaws. There have been so many close games early on that Snickers had to go to a lot of those guys. Maybe they've got a little bit worn out, but they need some help. Iggy turning it around would be huge for this team. C-Mac says AA trades for 2 relievers that aren't garbage. That would definitely help out. Brian James, Matt Olson, and Austin Riley need to become Matt Olson, Austin Riley. They need bullpen help. Michael Harris needs to have better plate discipline, and Profar comes back and performs. I think those are good ones. Those are spot on too. Straight Talk Sports, I think we are trending that way. Cardinals, Giants, Padres, Diamondbacks, Brewers are all flawed teams, and I think we have better roster than all of them. Need to go 500 versus the Phillies and Mets here at the end of this month, then handle our business against the Angels, A's, and Orioles to start July. So kind of the path that I planned out too. You know, handle your business here over the next couple of weeks with the Rockies, the Marlins, and then, you know, just try to stay even with the Mets and Phillies at the end of the month, and then go into that month of July. Hopefully you get Profar back at that point, and you take advantage of the schedule leading into the All-Star break, get around 500 at that time, and you give yourself a chance. So those are some of the comments. More out there. I know Michael Boudoin says simple hitting. It doesn't have to be 2023 hitting, but even half that, and this team starts winning those one-run losses. Great point. I mean, if the Braves just got a little bit of help offensively to win those one-run games, we probably wouldn't even be in this spot right now, or we'd definitely be in a much better position. Some other funny ones out there. Mo Flush H, the ghost of Hank Aaron, needs to descend from the heavens and start DHing. That would definitely be a big help. Some other great comments out there too. Thanks so much for sending all of those in. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think needs to happen in order for this Braves team to reach the postseason this year? And yes, Freddie Freeman is not coming back, but he is one of the league leaders. And next, we're going to look at the league leaders around Major League Baseball and set you up for the Rockies series. We'll do all that here next. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it all possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming Braves game. If you want to head there this weekend, I'll be there on Sunday. Gametime has last-minute tickets and zone deals for big savings. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase with Gametime. Terms apply. All right, so we're going to get back into our Around the League segment. We did this a lot last year. I might not do it every week going forward, but I do want to catch everybody up on what's happening around Major League Baseball. Maybe some of you only really tune in for the Atlanta Braves, which I get, but just kind of key you in on some of the best teams around Major League Baseball, some of the best players. In the NL East, the Mets are 44-24. The Phillies are 39-29. The Nats are 30-37. They're a game ahead of the Braves, so definitely got to change that. The NL Central, the Cubs are 41-27, just a half game up 5 games up on the Cardinals, who are 36-32. I mentioned the Braves play them right before the All-Star break. They just finished playing the Brewers, who are 36-33, and the Reds are 35-34. So you got 4 winning teams in the NL Central right now. 1 or 2 of those teams are likely going to fall off in the second half. The NL West, you got the Dodgers at 41-28, just a half game up on the Giants, who are 40-29 and had won 7 in a row, but they got walked off by the Rockies on Thursday. The Padres are 38-29, 2 games back for the Dodgers, and the Diamondbacks 34-34, 6.5 games back. I think that's the best division in baseball. Really surprised by the Giants in this first half. I'm hoping they're a team that's going to fall off in the second half and one that the Braves can surpass. But then you still got the Padres and Diamondbacks. Although the Diamondbacks just lost Corbin Burns, that rotation that looked so good to begin the year, they had too many options. Suddenly not looking so great anymore. But we'll see what happens with them and the Giants in the second half. But I think the Padres will certainly be there till the end, and obviously the Dodgers. In the American League, the Yankees are 41-25, 4 games up on the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are 38-30. Bit surprised there. I know they, wanted to spend in the offseason going into it and wanted to be contenders, but I was not a believer. And they certainly, the first half at least, have looked the part. The Rays 36-32, bit surprised by that as well. The Red Sox 34-36. The Orioles 27-39, 14 games back. If it wasn't for the Orioles, and I still think there's a lot of focus on the downfall of the Braves this year, but the Orioles maybe even more so. I know I picked them in that American League East. They were a very popular pick despite the struggles in the pitching staff that they had going in. But they have just been as dreadful as the Braves have been, if not more so. In the American League Central, the Tigers are 44-25, 7 games up on the Twins, who are 36-31. The Guardians at 35-32, and the Royals at 34-34. So both Central divisions, having a lot of winning teams right now. And then finally in the AL West, the Astros. You think they're done, but they're not. They're 37-34, games up on the Angels, who are 33-34. The Mariners also 33-34, and the Rangers 32-36. I think that's going to be a wild ride in the second half. I don't know who wins that division. I think I picked the Rangers coming into it. I thought maybe this would be the year we saw the Astros fall off, but they've been able to hold serve. Meanwhile, the other teams, the Mariners, Rangers, haven't quite taken off like I thought they would. So that's going to be an interesting race in the second half. Now you look at the leaders around Major League Baseball. Aaron Judge leads all hitters with a 394 batting average, followed by Jacob Wilson of the Athletics at 366. Close your ears, Freddie Freeman lovers, because he is third with a 347 batting average. J-Ram at 331 and Alejandro Kirk at 325. Riley is the only Braves qualified hitter batting over 260. That's a problem. OPS leaders, Judge 1269 is just insane. Ohtani 1008. Cal Raleigh 1,000 OPS. Freddie Freeman, 996. Alonso, 991. The Braves don't have anybody in the top 40 in OPS. Again, that's a big problem. Home run leaders, Cal Raleigh, 26. Aaron Judge, 25. Ohtani, 23. Schwarber, 21. Eugenio Suarez and Corbin Carroll, teammates, are both at 19. Olsen leads all Braves with 14. Again, that's a problem. You look at F4 leaders, Judge 5.9. We're not even to the All-Star break. He's already at 5.9 F4. Cal Raleigh's at 4. PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs at 3.6. Bobby Witt Jr. at 3.4. Jeremy Pena of the Astros, 3.4. Olsen leads all Braves players at 1.9. I'll say it one more time. That's not good. The Braves offense and their leaders have to get going. They need to be among the league leaders, and they're just not. On the pitching side, Nathan Eovaldi at 1.56 ERA, followed by Kodai Senga, who suffered a hamstring injury on Thursday, so the Braves won't see him in their upcoming series, but he had a 1.59 ERA going into that start. Hunter Brown of the Cubs, 1.82. Max Fried, again, close your ears, Braves fans, 1.84 ERA. Paul Skeens, 1.88. Sell and Schwellenbach are in the top 30 of ERA. Whip leaders, Eovaldi at 0.81, Skubal 0.82, Skeens 0.84, and then Drew Rasmussen of the Rays, Zach Wheeler at 0.90. Schwelly is 14th at 1 on the dot. Strikeout leaders, Mackenzie Gore at 114, Garrett Crochet at 110. Chris Sale, Braves finally have somebody on a leaderboard. He's at 107. Derek Skubal at 105. Carlos Rodon at 103. Schwellenbach is 16th with 84. I feel like the Braves have, I know they faced Gore, Crochet already, faced some really good pitchers so far this season. F4 leaders for pitchers, Tarek Skubal at 3.4, Skeens 2.9, Webb 2.8, Gore 2.6, Crochet 2.5. Sell is 12th at 2.2, and Twelly is 20th at 1.7. So that's your quick trip around the league. Now let's get into the series against the Rockies. They swept the Marlins earlier in the month. They have more wins in the month of June than the Braves do, but then they lost 5 straight, and then they walked off the Giants on Thursday, which, thank goodness. You know how much I hate a team coming in on a big losing streak. So the Rockies get their win, and now hopefully they can start another long losing streak beginning in Atlanta over the weekend. And it was Orlando Arcia that walked it off on Thursday. Hopefully he's not coming back to Atlanta for a big revenge game. He hasn't necessarily been great. He had 3 hits in his first couple of games with the Rockies, but just 2 hits after that leading into the game on Thursday. You look at some of their hot hitters here lately. Hunter Goodman's been really good. 349, 378, 837 slash line in his last 11 games coming into Thursday with 5 doubles, 2 triples, and 4 home runs. Tyler Freeman's been hitting good too, but you look at their offense overall, they're 29th in average, 30th in on-base percentage, 26th in slug, 25th in home runs despite playing their home games at Coors Field, 28th in stolen bases, 29th most strikeouts, and the 27th most walks. This is one of the worst offenses in all of baseball, and hopefully that plays into the hands of the Atlanta Braves this weekend. But they had a good series against the Giants. The bats definitely seem to be heating up right now. You look at their bullpen, Jake Bird is the best arm in there, and he's kind of a hybrid role. He'll come in at any point in the game, might throw multiple innings. A 1.41 ERA this year, just a 195 average against, 11.74 K per 9, a 3.52 walk per 9, not terrible for a reliever. Seth Halverson, Zach Agnos, Tyler Kinley, and old friend Victor Vodnik are other arms they'll go to in close games, but none of them really have dominating types of numbers. You look at the pitching matchups for this series. You got German Marquez versus Bryce Elder, Chase Dolander, who dominated the Braves in the finale of that series in Colorado, going up against Spencer Strider. Hopefully this is a chance, for Spencer Strider to have those good results against a struggling, well, I shouldn't say struggling. Like I said, they're coming off a good series against the Giants, but going up against a Rockies offense that's one of the worst in baseball. Again, those first 2 matchups, I feel okay about. I'd say Elder and Strider, maybe the two that I worry about the most in the rotation right now. And Elder's coming off one of his, best, most dominant starts, and Strider's just still trying to figure things out at this lower velocity and how he can get it done, and the command, obviously not pitching for a while. But those two pitchers for the Braves, again, I think they're probably the two that I worry about the most right now at the moment. But either way, Braves offense has to win this series. If the pitching isn't there, the Braves offense has to win this series. And then in the finale, it's to be determined versus Chris Sale. I hope that's the case because, like I said, I'll be there on Sunday. We'd love to see Chris Sale pitch and hopefully close out what is a sweep for the Atlanta Braves. And that's what it needs to be. Look, again, it's hard to sweep any team. And the Braves lost the series to the White Sox last year, and they were the worst team in all of baseball. This year, the Rockies are on pace to be the worst team in the history of baseball. So it's not like they can't lose a series to them. This is baseball, and sweeps, again, are hard to come by against anybody. But this has to be a sweep for the Atlanta Braves. You need to ride that momentum of winning a series against the Brewers, come back home and take care of business against the Rockies. Again, I don't care if you have to win these games 11-6, whatever the case may be. Offense has to go out and win this series, no matter what the pitching does. Hopefully you get both, and hopefully it's a dominating series, just like the Mets had against this team, where they outscored them 25-6 in a 3-game series. That's what I would love to see the Braves do here. But no matter what, it's got to be a sweep. You want to get back in this thing. You want to, follow that formula that I outlined for you earlier. It starts with this series against the Rockies. I guess it technically already started against the Brewers, but it continues with this series against the Rockies. It has to be a sweep. You're at home. It's getting warmer. Baseballs are flying out of the ballpark. Do what you do best. Hit a bunch of home runs. Pitch against one of the worst offenses in baseball. Go out and get a series sweep and try to get some momentum going leading into the All-Star break. Try your best to get to 500 by the All-Star break. Get some momentum going in there. Hopefully AA goes out and gets some help for the bullpen before the deadline, and you give yourself a chance down the stretch to make the postseason. You might need some help for some other teams kind of stumbling, but whatever the case may be, just give us something to root for going into the second half of the season. Give us some sort of hope. I don't think that's too much to ask. I think this team is still capable of doing that. Hopefully, again, we'll see it begin to happen with a sweep over the Colorado Rockies. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for joining me here live. Miguel Fria, Docs Cards, Braves Thrills in here since the beginning. Jeff Barry, appreciate you all being here. Sam BBM, thank you so much as well. Appreciate all the great comments. Emmanuel, thank you for the comments today on social media. Thank you all for being here. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you're new. Hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. And make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we will talk to you next time.